Hi guys, Gretchen with Healer's Insight. I know you're used to Reiki videos coming out and we have these other things coming out. This is going to be an herbalist video. This one is a highly often requested one and a very important one. This is for herbal withdrawal and keeping sober from heroin, morphine, and other opioids. After this, I will also be posting the COVID, how to recover your COVID system herbalist, and then we'll get back on the Reiki train with some Kava Reiki, also requested, and then I would jump over to 1024. So that's what we're gonna do. This next little bout of videos. So this one is withdrawals. It is on keeping sober from heroin. It's also like it will tell you. This one lets you know why it's so hard to quit heroin, why it's so hard to quit those opioids, why it's so hard to quit fentanyl, all that shit, why it's so hard to quit morphine. It vibes with your brain differently, dude. It's different than any of the other hard drugs. So we'll get to that first, and then we'll get to the traditional Chinese medicine and the Ayurvedic medicines that have worked throughout history. I mean, you got to remember, morphine addiction isn't a new thing. So this is what worked for that. This is what works for the opioids, the pills, the patches, all that shit, and the heroin. So, up next, what goes on with your brain, dude, when you start using this shit? Why is it so hard to quit? Okay, so what goes on with your brain when you start using opioids, heroin, all the aboves, morphine, fentanyl, they're all opiates. Anyway, so what happens with your brain? So in your hippocampus, which is where all the drugs, all the alcohol, everything hits your brain and starts like destroying your serotonin, your dopamine receptors. Don't worry, this is doing that too. But what this one does in addition to that is, have you ever heard of Pavlov's dogs? So there was a scientist, Pavlov. He conditioned these dogs to respond to a dinner bell. He would ring this bell. They would salivate because they knew food was coming. It's called conditioned place preference. This conditioned place preference is located in the hippocampus portion of your brain. So, not only that, but there is another portion in your brain called the locus coeruleus, which is the center that transmits signals all over your brain, okay? So keep that in mind. You have the conditioned place preference, so you can be conditioned, ding, 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 salivate, food. But for you, it's like, ding, ding, ding. Ooh, this guy I get to use. Yay, your heart rate goes up. You have to go potty. You get ready. You get happy, all that stuff. Conditioned place preference. Yeah, you got that with the other drugs, right? But it's so much stronger with this one. Why? Because the opiate family literally transmits a chemical constituent to that portion of your brain, binding that conditioned place preference to the drug. So now that part of your brain is in a drug reward system. Ding, 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 I want this drug. That's why it's so much harder to quit, because it's bound to that conditioned place preference. So even if you take away the people, the places that you go, this is why they do that in recovery. Yeah, ding, ding, ding. That's another ding, ding, ding. So that's why they do that in recovery. However, it has also been bound to that locus coeruleus. So that locus coeruleus is sent it through your entire brain. So we have to unbind all of that stuff. Don't worry, there are herbs to do just that. But step one, let's start with the withdrawals, right? Because this part is more the psychological addiction, and you see now that it is not only a psychological addiction, but it is a chemically dependent psychological addiction because the drug itself has bound itself into the receptors of your brain. But we're going to unbind that stuff. We're going to get rid of that, and we'll keep your brain healthy while we go along. I'm going to suggest herbs to keep your hormones kind of in a homeostasis kind of state, because like we said, your serotonin, your dopamine receptors, those are all shot too. So when you start coming down, that's when you get into those deep dark things. We're not going to go there with this. This is going to be a much milder treatment. And welcome back. All right, so there are 4 steps to addiction. There's being introduced to it, there's use, there's trying to get away from it, and then there's relapse, right? Relapse is what we're going to prevent here. I mean, we're going to start with the withdrawals and all of that, But with the use, what has happened to your brain also is you have destroyed the reuptake centers for your norepinephrine, your dopamine, and your serotonin, which is why a lot of people who new into recovery go into suicidal kind of place. So I'm going to suggest some herbs here really quickly to keep that brain health kind of a little bit more alive and vibrant and allow those receptors to start building while you're going through withdrawals. Maybe keeping your depression, up here instead of like, I'm so depressed, I'm so low, but keep your spirits up. Okay, so the herbs that I'm going to suggest for that on a daily basis are going to be lemon balm. Unless you have a thyroid problem, then don't take lemon balm. You'll do this in a tincture. Try to find a vegetable glycerite, especially if you have alcoholism along with your heroin use or your opioid use. So you'll take a lemon balm that can be used on a daily basis if you need a little mood boost. Kava Kava is another one. That is a very strong mood booster. I really recommend that one only be used 3 weeks on and then give your liver a break and take 1 week off. Those are daily maintenance herbs for when you need that burst of happiness, okay? If you don't need it, don't use it, right? Save it for when you do really need it. That way it's super strong when you need it. Please drink green tea, ashwagandha, and tulsi tea every single day. Green tea helps, and we'll get to the herbs that are going to do the big badass work about unbinding that chemical dependency from the heroin. Remember, we just talked about that with the CPP and the locus coeruleus. So the green tea helps unbind it from the locus coeruleus. So let's get that green tea in there. But I don't want you drinking tea all day long, so throw that ashwagandha and tulsi all in the same thing. That ashwagandha and that tulsi will help keep the hormone receptors located on top of your kidneys, your adrenals, from overproducing stress out hormones. So that will help keep some of that, I can't do this, that overwhelmingness, it'll keep that at bay. The next thing I'm going to recommend is going to be lion's mane and gotu kola, along with Bacopa monnieri. These are all going to start doing repairs in your brain and get those receptors repaired a little bit faster, so that when you are completely done with this 60-day program, that your brain isn't completely fried, that you've already started to do the work, the chemicals are starting to balance back out, thoughts are starting to make more sense to you. It's an easier transition dealing with social situations without drugs and alcohol. So those will definitely help. The next one is going to be Japanese knotweed. Japanese knotweed will be because of the damages done to your brain, and this will do repairs to your brain. You can do this one later on too. It'll repair any damages to the blood-brain barrier. It will help repair any damages that you've done that may predispose you now to Alzheimer's and dementia. So we'll get that fixed, right? And then there's Polygala tenuifolia. Polygala tenuifolia I am very highly recommending for most of my opiate users because you started using due to trauma. Usually trauma is caused in early childhood with my addicts. So this Polygala tenuifolia, it works with that part of your brain, removing those blockages and allowing those the new neurons to kind of grow there. So your brain will feel the best that it's ever felt since before you had your trauma. So I do recommend the Polygala tenuifolia along with Rhodiola rosea towards the end of your treatment. Now again, these are herbs to keep you in homeostasis and to get your brain repaired while you're going through your treatment. These are not the ones for your withdrawals. These are the ones to help keep your mood and your spirits high and lifted through your treatment. I will put a slide up with the recommended dosage and in order because, again, I do know that herbal treatments get expensive, and out of all the ones that I'm going to ask you to take, these are going to be kind of low on the list because you're going to want your ones for withdrawal symptoms and you're going to want your ones to keep you sober, the one that unbinds that brain, right? All right. Up next, we're going to go through the withdrawal herbs recommended by traditional Chinese medicines and Ayurvedic practitioners. Hi guys, Gretchen back with our heroin withdrawals. So you're doing it naturally this time. It's probably better for your systems. We've already talked about the herbs to protect you from going into that deep, dark, suicidal spot and to start doing that brain repair. So let's talk about the herbs that will actually help you withdraw a little more gently, get rid of that need to use a little bit better. And the herb that we're going to add in, we're going to start with that one. The one that we're going to add in The one that nobody adds in that unbinds the psychological need, that unbinds from that CPP, from that hippocampus, from that locus coeruleus, the one that goes, nope, you don't belong here, so it can go away. That is going to be abbreviated as L-THP. That's a little difficult to find. I'm going to put some links in the bottom because I'm having difficulty finding a lot of these herbs. So I am only going to recommend the ones that are easily found because you don't need that extra frustration, do you? So what the LTHP does is you're going to start it when you start your withdrawal herbs at the exact same time. And there were studies that were shown where they started this with the withdrawal herbs, and then it was another one where they started it at 12 days. So like after they'd done their withdrawal, and that's when they started the LTHP. The group that started with the withdrawal herbs at the same time, they had a much higher occurrence of staying sober. I think their rates were like somewhere in the 70%. Wouldn't that be awesome? Like for this to be your last time? That would be so good. Woo woo. So L-THP, and like I said, I'm going to put links up in there for you. And what this does is it basically undoes all the binding that the enzymes have done to your brain to say, hey, so now you can only feel this way if you take this drug. Remember, we talked about that drug reward system. So L-THP, going to be one of the most important herbs that you add to your regimen. And I will rank these for you on a slide. All right, up next, the withdrawal herbs. All right, guys, so the withdrawal herbs, and keep in mind, these are traditional Chinese medicine compounds and Ayurvedic medicine compounds. What does the United States like to do? They like to keep us sick, so they're really hard to find. Anyway, I'm going to name off the list of all of the herbs that have. So the ones that are going to be like lofexidine are going to be Fuyang pellets, and I'll put a slide up with these pronunciations, and I do apologize for butchering these words to any of my native Chinese or Indian speakers. Jinyu capsules and asafoetida extract. Tai Kang Ning capsules, not to be confused with Kang Ning Wang. So Kang Ning Wang you can find, that's for upset tummies, hangovers, and such. It's not for withdrawals. Different herbs. Some are similar, but most of them are different. Tai Kang Ning is what you're going to want for withdrawals. Let's see. The next ones are like naloxone are going to be composite dongyong guai, and then asafoetida extract again. There is an add-on called TJ97, and that one is actually, I wrote down the flower. Oh, it's called a dibophotho flower. So it's a water extract for that. That will help keep you from pooping everywhere when you're going through withdrawals. Let's see, who else? The one that is like buprenorphine is Winecom. That one I'm having a really hard time finding, so we're going to ignore that one. Honestly, the one that you're going to want the most of is called BHD or Banjia Hupao. There's also a modified version of it. That one has been shown to have extremely good results. So you're going to take that with the asafoetida extract and that LTHP. You're going to start all of these at the same time. So with all of these starting at the same time, your the jumpiness is going to be less. Everything is going to be a lot more mild than if you've ever detoxed. Clearly, it's going to be way more mild than if you've detoxed cold turkey, but it's going to be much more mild if you've detoxed in a center with pharmacologicals. The herbs work with your systems. Like I said, this addiction isn't new. Chinese especially, have been dealing with morphine addictions for a bazillion years, and these are what they use to get people off of opiates. So why shouldn't we use what actually works, right? Let's get that unbound from your brain so that you don't have that psychological thing. Now, you are going to have to remove yourself from situations and keep yourself away from people so that you don't have those triggers, right? Those people that you use with, where you used to get in your stuff. So it is best to remove yourself from that situation. This will unbind that need for that psychological drug reward system. However, you have been conditioned yourself to get that reaction. So just take yourself out of that situation. Be a little logical about it. Let's go to somewhere healthy to detox. Start somewhere new. Get your detox and get everything going. I will put out videos later on, not this week. I will put out videos later on for recovering your system. Now, these herbs are meant to be taken for 60 full days. 60 full days for the best results, okay? You don't want to relapse, do you? So take them for 60 full days. See it through. If you're having panic attacks during your withdrawals, throw those legs up a wall immediately. Lay down, throw those legs up a wall, on a chair, on a couch, anywhere where they can get up. That will immediately send your body to calming status. That will make those hormones stop, and it'll make you stop. While you're there, do your block breath where you inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4, and repeat. Or if you can't remember that, Om. And that will bring all of that anxiety level, all of that hopelessness right back down to where you can do this. You guys got this. You got this. I'm so proud of you for doing this. You've got this. I will put those links up, and I'll put those slides up so you know what we're talking about. I'm going to be doing the COVID recovery system videos and then back to Reiki. If you like this video and like to see more like this, and keep in mind I do a lot of Reiki videos, please hit that subscribe button for me. And until next time.